So I'm very excited about the renovations and everything that we have upcoming, because we're going to have a lot of flexible dining spaces. We'll have areas where a resident can go and they can, if they want a sandwich, they can get that, or they can get a cup of coffee or tea and a scone or anything like that if that's something that they want. It's going to be open for us. Our staff will have an opportunity also to really be creative and really do some things that they really want to do while they're facing forward, facing front with the resident. So the resident will be able to see our operation as opposed to not being able to see it currently, where we're behind a wall in the kitchen and they can't see what it is we're doing. So we're very excited about that. The Guilford dining room is going to be closing, and this is going to be basically the residential care dining room. It's a different configuration. It's going to give our staff an opportunity to really interface with the residents and give them an opportunity also to, if a resident wants an egg or an omelet, or they want to have grilled cheese or something, they'll be able to make it right there in that space, as opposed to going down to the kitchen and getting it from the kitchen. One of the issues that we had recently is we had a kitchen shutdown, and we only had a couple days to prepare for the kitchen shutdown. So what the staff was able to do is really we partnered together to really come up with a very good plan to make sure that our residents didn't miss a beat, they didn't miss a meal, everything was the way that they would have wanted it. We partnered with the catering company, and we also did some things internally ourselves to make sure that the residents the operation was seamless. So from a standpoint of even dealing with the construction and everything that goes on currently, we can have power outages, we can have water, where the water goes out, but we have to continue to keep our operation running. And the way that we do that is we understand that these things happen, so we always have to have a plan B. So when things, we have water goes out or water shut down or power goes out, we have a plan B, and we're always at the ready to be able to take care of our residents. I'd just like to say a big thank you to all of the residents, because I know it's difficult, very difficult, having to go through all of this and all of the construction and all. Our restaurant has to be your favorite restaurant 300 times a year. So we want to keep it flexible. We want to make sure that we're able to change things on a dime, and we want to make sure that we give you what you need. So thank you very much for your patience, and we look forward to what's going on for us in the future.
I feel that the residents have been absolutely wonderful working with us day to day during the construction. We have interrupted their homes by water outages, electrical outages, temperature controls through the building, so their lives have been interrupted quite a bit, and they have worked very closely with everyone and the contractors at the time that this has all taken place. Day to day, our challenges are to keep our work orders flowing, keep our residents happy, and still continue to do the work orders as they are received in. The challenge is to really during the construction areas. So we have to work around the construction areas and to make sure that we are also keeping up with work orders every day, day to day. Housekeeping, cleaning, maintenance, the ground. So we still have to continue to keep the building up and running and make sure everything is still running as it's supposed to.
We have two main spaces, the Clipper Mill Commons room, and then we also have the Ambulatory Care Center relocated on the second floor. So the offices that surround it really are the Program and Special Events, the Chaplain's Office. We have myself, Director of Special Projects, and Linda Kohler, the Development or Advancement Officer. And right now we also have two folks from the nursing department who are in spaces on a temporary basis until their offices are finished. So we're not quite finished moving everybody, but at the end of the day, we will also have upstairs with us the independent living and assisted living social worker will be there, and we'll also have some space for expansion and having office space for some consultants as well. The other thing, we have other two important rooms on the second floor. We have what we're calling the learning lab, or a training room, where we'll have a lot of computers set up. But that's really towards the end of the project, because that is a pretty good sized room, and there's still some departments that will need temporary housing until the end of the project. So we will have some other staff functions out of that room. And then we also have a conference room, which will be really helpful for staff and residents can reserve that as well. But at the end of the day, we'll have plenty of meeting space for all users, for residents and staff and families. Part of the planning was also, we wanted Clipper Mill and the chaplain's office to be in close proximity to each other. Also, programs and special events is up in that same office suite area. So that was, a decision that we made based on location of things. So it's just going to be easier all the way around for residents and for staff. We do get concerned about how much we need to move heavy furniture, and if it's not that old bulky stuff, it'll really be an improvement. The decisions that were put into that room gave us some flexibility, but yet also were going to help us really have an area for our chaplain and for our spiritual services, but not exclusively. So, and until the other areas of the building are finished, it definitely will continue to be a multi-purpose room where we do show a lot of movies and that sort of thing, and meetings are held there. So it's a combination room, but yet we really wanted to improve on the atmosphere and the finishes. We don't have any columns in the middle of the room, which were really a challenge when having events in the old Clipper Mill Commons. So that's a big one. It's opened up with windows and sliding glass doors, so it's a very attractive room. It's much more attractive, and I think just going to be a better space for the things that we want to have in there.
I'm excited. I'm excited for ambulatory care and the future things coming into ambulatory care. We are now in our new center, which is on the second floor, closer to the main elevators. And as you arrive to this setting, you'll notice that the hallways are wider. That will facilitate all residents in independent living, whether they use a rollator or walker or a motorized wheelchair, which is a plus. Our former hallways were a little narrower, so I can appreciate that for them as well as for me. And as you enter the clinic, there are a few differences, one of which you might note would be the waiting room. It is a little smaller, but it is beautiful, and it has helped us with our time management. So because we have less space, we're moving forward with getting our residents through the clinic in a more timely fashion. So I hope that they see that. And if we do have a bit of an overflow on some days, that could happen. We have a lovely bench right outside the waiting room, and our receptionist, Ms. Carita, will come out and escort you into the clinical setting to have your needs met at that time. In our former ambulatory care setting, it was on the farthest side of the building. It was wonderful for the residents that were on the higher number side because they could take the back elevator and they would be right there. In consideration of all the residents that we serve at Roland Park Place, we are now middle of the campus, so it's a fair walk for everyone, whether they're on the 16 side of the building or the 61 side of the building. So that's definitely a plus for everyone, and it sort of balances everyone out too. In our other setting, former setting to the new setting, as I mentioned before, the waiting room was larger. Now it's a little bit smaller, but in hindsight to that, our exam rooms were smaller, and now they're larger. Our bathroom on the former setting was smaller, and now that's larger, and it also accommodates those with less or more challenging mobility needs, so they have more space to maneuver in that bathroom independent of handrails and things of that nature. In our exam rooms, also accommodate larger spaces, so I really appreciate that, and I think they will also. We have an additional physician's office that we didn't have, which we use for our new attending physician, Dr. Youssef, as well as our podiatrist, and both audiologists, Dr. Norin and Dr. Wallace, so they are enjoying their new setting. Dr. Don, because she is now our new medical director, has her own space, and we appreciate that, and so does she. The nurse practitioners still share space, but we've also inherited very lovely balconies, and so they want to utilize that space as well in the warmer months to maybe have some flowers, to step outside for a breath of fresh air. So that's something that we're not used to doing, but we certainly will search that out come spring. We have inherited beautiful artwork that we had not had before. If you come into the clinic, you'll notice that we have new artwork in our combined spaces as well as the bathroom, which we didn't have. There's a beautiful picture in there. It's a bird. It's kind of funny, but it's really kind of cool in that setting. And then there's some lovely seascape scenes there as well. So enjoy when you come to the clinic. Look around, stop by. You don't have to be sick to come in. Just come in and say hi, take a walk, and make yourself familiar with your new setting. We hope that you enjoy it. We've worked very hard to make sure that all your needs will be met there, and that all the equipment that you are used to seeing be in service there is available to you also. Ambulatory care.
So one of the benefits of the renovations is that right now in the healthcare center, a lot of our residents have many different services provided to them throughout their stay. And each level of service, a lot of time, you need a different clinical mindset or a different clinical skill or a different environment in order for you to have a safe and high quality of care. So these renovations will separate that out, so we'll have an area for those that just need short-term assistance so that they get what they need. They can go back to their apartment or transition to wherever they need to. There'll be the long-term care healthcare center, which is where we will provide all of their activities of daily living, make sure that their quality of life and quality of care exceeds their expectations. And then there will be the memory care neighborhood, which will allow us to support those who are just starting off in their initial stages of cognitive loss. We're anticipating that with the short-term rehab, we will also not only help those within the community, but we'll be able to take residents from outside so that they can see that all of the wonderful services Roland Park Place offers and may want to be part of that family. It's a brand new space, so the space is being renovated from old offices and residential care apartments. So it will be a new area for our healthcare center residents that will be less institutional and more home-like. It'll allow for a lot of common spaces, a lot of open areas. It'll remain with the same private rooms, private showers, but it will be a location where residents who are not sick enough to be in the hospital, but not well enough to really go home in their apartments yet, can have a short-term stay to receive the medical care that they need. So when we look at designing a new area, we really want to look at lots of different areas, such as regulatory requirements, best practices in the industry, and looking at ways to enhance the quality of care that our residents receive. In order to do that, we need to talk to numerous stakeholders. So when we had the opportunity to build out some areas, such as the bathrooms, we were able to make a model so people could touch it and feel it and experience it to see what their residents, loved ones will have when they move into that new space. We did residents, employees, family members, and other board members, all the different stakeholders to give their opinions so that we all knew that we were on the same page of what we wanted for our residents and that we knew that we were building the best thing that we could. In the healthcare center, we are blessed with numerous regulations that we have to follow. And so with that, we have to weigh our options of what's going to make the most sense. With the new regulations that we have to follow, there is a huge push for quality of care and resident-centered environments. And that's why you'll see the country kitchen, that's why you'll see the common spaces, the private rooms, all of the things that can enhance the home-like environment. We want it to be less institutional. We want the residents to be able to move throughout the neighborhood with ease and comfort. And there'll also be other things added to their rooms that we need to look at. When we look at room size and making sure equipment fits, there will be traction within the ceiling that will allow us to lift residents and move residents so that there won't be additional equipment in the room cluttering the spaces. It'll be safer for the employees, it'll be safer for the residents, so that they will always have what they need to provide that quality of care. Since we're not building a brand new building on the outside for the healthcare center, we'll be renovating existing spaces. Therefore, the residents will have to have somewhere to live during that transition. The short-term rehab will be the first area to be completed. That will be 16 apartments. So when it comes on the second floor, where we'll be beginning to renovate those areas, the first wing of residents will move to that short-term rehab while their existing space is being renovated. So the short-term rehab will really be a transition space for the entirety of the project until everything is completed. After that point, it'll have its original use of being short-term for those in the community and for the outside. With any transition, there's always complications and confusion, but we are blessed to have such an amazing team at Roland Park Place where any challenge is met with complete excitement and looking at ways to make the residents feel more comfortable. We know that we have totally changed. Hallways will pop up one day and disappear the next day and can be very confusing, and we just really appreciate everyone's patience and hard work and diligence to make sure that we're providing a safe environment while this is all going on.